Hello, BookTube. I'm here to talk about a reading, sort of buddy reading, reading event, with whatever you want to call it. It's something that I'm joining up with Brandy at the Book Eclectic. She wanted to read this year a bunch of. She's got a whole stack of vampire books, and I thought, well, yeah, there's some things that I want to do as well, and so I'll join. And she decided she wanted to do it in April and May. Works for me. And we came up with the title for each month: VAMpril and MayPIRE. Vampire mixed in there. See how clever that is? Yeah. Uh, and I'm going to go through my TBR for this, and I'll explain what I decided on, because I sort of went through different sort of phases of it, and this is still a tentative because I have too many books here to read, and read some other stuff in the couple months. So I'll hone it down, but these are some examples. It's not everything either, yeah. So, and Brandy will have. I'll link below her TBR video as well. But mine here now is, as I say, a tentative for the both months. And then on April 1st, which is my birthday, and I will have a birthday bash, and either there or in a separate video, I will have my April TBR in total, sort of more or less, refined. But, Brandy's going to read mostly fiction, I believe, other than one thing that of nonfiction that we're pairing up on. I've decided, for the most part, to read nonfiction. I have, over many years, been collecting books about Dracula and vampires. Not a huge amount, a couple shelves full. And I thought, well, actually, this will be a good time to do it. So I'll go through and I'll say ones that I know that I'm going to be reading. There will be some fiction too, but I moved off some of the fiction that I was going to do, and I'm keeping mostly. You'll see. I'll get to the fiction a bit later. But the one definite that we're both reading is David J. Scull's massive biography of let me hold it here so you can see the title there. That's probably better to do it that way. David J. Scull's biography of Bram Stoker, called Something in the Blood: The Untold Story of Bram Stoker, the man who wrote Dracula. And David J. Scull has written a lot of stuff on horror, TV, film, film more than anything. A few biographies. He's got a really good biography of an actor, which I'm just blanking on now. I had it a second ago, but anyway, he's written a lot of stuff. And this came out in 2000. Give me a date. 2016. I bought this when it first came out, thinking that it might disappear. But I haven't read it yet. I kept meaning to. It's quite big. It's it's not huge. It's just over 600 pages. But we'll be reading this, and this is a definite for me. I have other biographies of Bram Stoker, but I will pass on those at the moment. Now, figuring out somewhere to put this. Will I do this? Okay. Down there will work. Another biography that I will be reading, it's Dracula adjacent, is a biography of Bela Lugosi, called The Count: The Life and Films of Bela Dracula Lugosi, by Arthur Lenning. Yeah. So it's an older biography, but it's one that I've wanted to get to. And it's obviously not all Dracula, but it's Dracula adjacent, so I'm counting that as a potential read. This one, definite. I've never read it from cover to cover. which I will this time. I've only dipped in it for other things. Again, it's David J. Schall. It's Hollywood Gothic, The Tangled Web of Dracula, from novel to stage to screen. And this is a bit of a battered used copy. This was published in 1990. I also have a paperback reprint of it, but I think there's some revisions in it, so I'm not sure what's exactly changed with it. So that's another possibility. Now we get into pure Dracula sort of scholarship, I guess you would say. And this is by a publisher that started to basically reprint all of Bram Stoker's works in hardcover, usually sometimes annotated, or well, with notes anyway, and then critical and historical books around Bram Stoker. And it's called Desert Island Books, but it's the Desert Island Dracula Library. I have quite a few of them. I don't have them all. This is Dracula, the Shade, and the Shadow, a critical anthology edited by Elizabeth Miller. And it's exactly what it says. It's a collection of articles, and that was published in 1998. And there's quite a few familiar names: Nina Auerbach, Elizabeth Miller, Diane Milburn. Ones that I know here: Stephanie Moss, David Schmidt, Clive Leatherdale, which we'll come across again, Radu Florescu, Valerie Clemens, Amanda Fernbach, Kelly Donovan Wixon. Strange, I know the female ones more than the male scholars, but anyway, there it be. And here's another one by the aforementioned Clive Leatherdale. It's also another part of the Desert Island Dracula series. And this is The Origins of Dracula. There's been many books on this kind of subject as well. And this was first published in 1987 for a different company, I guess, from William Kimber and Company. But yeah, so there's another possibility. This is not part of the Desert Island series, but it's very similar. It's again Clive Leatherdale, and it's Dracula the Novel and the Legend, a study of Bram Stoker's Gothic masterpiece. Very blank back panel. That was published in 1985. There could be a lot of overlap with those two. Let's see here. A more general one, popular sort of book, Peter Haining and Peter Tremaine, The Undead, The Legend of Bram Stoker and Dracula. So this is going to, so this may fall by the wayside. There's a sticker on the back there that I hadn't taken off. Barcode. Yeah, so it looked interesting, so I think I picked it up really cheap. So and here's one that is actually quite good. I love the title. Bram Stoker's Dracula, Sucking Through the Century, 1897 to 1997. It's another collection of articles edited by Carol Margaret Davidson with the participation of Paul Simpson Housley. It's a paperback. It's by a Canadian publisher, Dundurn Press, out of Toronto. And again, it's got just a collection of articles, all sorts of academic as well as more general. I've read some of them already. I used to have this when I was in Canada, so I'd already read a few. But again, I haven't read it all. Again, this may or may not be read in full, or I might, once I read something and I found it an interesting topic, and then I go through and read an article or two out of here. We'll see. Okay, now, yeah, let's get to the fiction. Now, obviously, Dracula is the one, and I've read it 3 times or 4 times already, but I've not read, there is the new annotated Dracula by Leslie S. Klinger, and here it is in all its glory. So this is a definite as well. This is a definite to read, and that came out. This is published by Norton. I'm sure it's Norton. Yeah, W.W. Norton. And that came out in 2008. So it's the new one. And then I also have the older one. And I think there's variations of this, paperbacks and stuff, but it's the annotated Dracula by Leonard Wolfe. So what I might do is, if I really have the gumption to do this, I will read the section, the text, and then read the annotations in each of these and see how they differ. I also have the Norton critical edition, the paperback critical edition too, so that might be fun to dip into some of the critical articles as well. Now, still sticking with Dracula, Bram Stoker, here is the play that he wrote, and it actually was published prior to the novel in 1897. And I think this might have came out in April. Like, April is a good month, actually, I think. Am I correct in thinking that Dracula was done published in April, or at least this was? But this is the play in prologue and 5 acts. It was first performed in May, so there you go. 18th of May 1897 at the Lyceum Theatre, and that's where Bram Stoker worked. He sort of ran the theater. And the second reading, 18th of May at the Spinards Inn in Hampstead. It's edited and annotated by Sylvia Starshine at Pumpkin Books, Nottingham, 1997. And this is a nice, here's a bookmark that was given to me by a friend who is Romanian, and she bought this for me coming back. It's the see, I'm blanking. My brain is not firing on cylinders. This is the mountain range from Dracula. Everybody knows what it is. I just can't pull it out of my brain. Thank you, COVID. But yeah, this is first time ever in print. It's out of print, I think, now, but you can get used copies of this for anybody who's interested. But this will be my bookmark for reading all the Dracula stuff, and it lives in here. So there you go. So there's that. Other things, there has been a sequel and a prequel to Dracula that's been done by Dacre. I think that's his pronunciation, Dacre Stoker. I've never read this. This is a prequel called Dracul. So I'll be reading this as well. So that's a guaranteed for fiction. And that came out in... That's not a first. Oh well, I bought it. It says 2018. Boy, I probably bought it at the time. And you know what? I didn't get it first. I just didn't even notice that. It doesn't really matter, but just interesting. And I'm assuming it originally, because it's got the barcode on the back, it was a naked hardcover, which I'm not a fan of them. I'm a bit prudish when it comes to naked hardcovers. naked books. No, doesn't work. Anyway, and then there was a sequel that was done by Dacre Stoker and Ian Holt called Dracula the Undead. So this, but I won't be reading them in order. I'll probably read them. I'll read Dracula, and then I'll read, which one was this? This is 2009. I had to buy this one used, so he wrote this one first. So I'll read this one after Dracula, and then I'll go back to the prequel. So that'll be kind of nice. Yeah, I bought this as a used copy. It's got quite a bump at the top, but oh well. Bumps on books I don't like. Let me see. Oh, this here too. I don't know the authenticity of this, to be honest, because it sounds fishy. It's those things. But anyway, it's called The Lost Journal of Bram Stoker, The Dublin Years, edited by Elizabeth Miller and Dacre Stoker. It's a small size book. It was published by, this is Robson Press, and 2012. Now, this is what I say. I don't know how authentic this is, because you kind of wonder, people cashing in. Like, it's been sitting for this long. It says, recently a long-lost journal belonging to Dracula author Bram Stoker was discovered in his great-grandson Noel's dusty attic. Published now to coincide with the centenary of Stoker's death, the text of this stunning find, written between 1871 and 1881, mostly in his native Dublin, will capture scholars of Gothic literature and Dracula fans alike. Is it real? Well, I don't know. We'll see. It is something that I'd like to peruse. I don't know if that's a guarantee or not for that. For other fiction, vampire fiction, before I get to some other stuff, I'll be reading some vampire ones, and something I've recently discovered. Like I never knew it existed. I think it was like the first time it's been translated, is called The Black Vampire, A Legend of Saint Domingo, 1819, by Uriah Derek Darcy. It's been translated, I believe. But it's 1819. It's a very, very slim copy. It's a print on demand, but it's not, the printing's not bad. It's could have been better. I know nothing more of that. There is, pretty sure it's translated. I'm sure it's translated from French. Well, it was written in 1819, that's for sure. The anonymous writer Darcy sets the story against the conditions that led to the Haitian Revolution, first published in chapbook form in New York in 1819. This is the first time ever in paperback. So there we go. I know nothing about this, but it's short enough that I can polish that off very quickly. And then also, I think it's the same year, is The VAMpril by John Polidori, and this with other macabre tales. Folio Society one. So that's another short one to read. I'll also be reading Carmilla by Sheridan LaFanu. I've got a couple copies around. I can't lay my finger on it. There's even a copy in my Blu-ray / DVD collection. So if I'll be able to, if I can't find the Oxford World Classics edition, then I'll just read that one. And also something else that I've just come across. It's not a full vampire novel, but it's by Alexander Dumas, and it's a collection of sort of tales told by other people. And the last one has to do, I think, with a Polish vampire. Not sure, but anyway, it has to deal with vampires, so that'll be kind of neat. And even if I just have to read the last section, because I've never read this before, I don't think it's been translated until recently. Oh, it says, yeah, Terror of Tales of Vampires and Fortitude in the Carpathians. So yeah, so this is 18. Do you give me an original date here? 1849. So this is early as well. Um, yeah, that's sort of the fiction. I was going to read Varney the Vampire again, but and I've got they were sent to me two really nice. Let's I forgot to pull out my in one of the months I'll be doing. Will Sean like it? It's the Empire of the Vampire. I always blanking at the author's name, but it's called. I do apologize. I didn't pull it out. I'll show it because that is a guarantee in one of the months. Will be for Will Sean like it? Most likely in May, I think. I'll be reading that. So that's a guarantee as well. That's a vampire book, not a Dracula book. I don't think it is, but it's a vampire book. And there's a couple of there's a few others. There's one Dracula related book that I want to find it's got misplaced from my other ones, and I just can't lay my fingers on it at the moment. But I've got 2 months still to find it. It's basically it is a more detailed and scholarly look at the origins and what if I remember right, what Bram Stoker was looking at when he like his research in libraries and so forth, what books he consulted in creating the story, the novel Dracula. There's two other ones here. One that I would really like to get to. It's not Dracula per se, but it's The Vampire: A New History by Nick Groom, who's an academic, but it says here known as Prof of Goth, is a professor in English at the University of Exeter. His previous titles include The Gothic, A Very Short Introduction, and The Seasons, A Celebration of the English Year, which was shortlisted for the Catherine Briggs Folklore Award. But this is The Vampire can be traced back. The forensic investigation that followed were a topic of popular fascination long before. Yeah, it just goes into the history of vampires. It's illustrated. This edition that I think there's a reprint of this. This is 2018 by Nick Groom. The publisher is Yale University Press. So I would really like to get to this one as well. That's hope. And here's another one that's looks pretty good. I think this is the next. Oh no, it's just I thought it was next library, but it does have somebody's. Oh no, it's not. Somebody wrote a huge, really scrawling inscription in there. But it's Vampires, Burial, and Death, Folklore and Reality by Paul Barber. So it's covering similar material as that, but we'll see how different it is if I get to read both. Published 1988, it looks like. Yeah, 1988 by Yale University Press again. So there we go. So there is my potential TBR for VAMpril and MayPIRE. Is there any of these that you particularly would like me to read? As I say, there's going to be the biography of Stoker, that's for sure, by David J. Scull. There's going to be the annotated Dracula for sure, the prequel and the sequel for sure. And the rest are sort of up in the air, to be honest. I think, yeah, the rest are up in the air, other than the fiction ones that I probably will be able to, because they're very short fiction books. So, but yeah, do let me know. Oh, and the play. I'll definitely be doing the play as well. So yeah, let me know, and let me know if you're joining in. It's anything. It's not a sort of official event or anything like that. It's just something that Brandy and I are doing. I've sort of tagged on to Brandy to do this because I thought, wonderful idea. And if anybody else wants to join in, that's great. Look at both of our TBRs and other videos that are coming up about this. And as I say, on the first, my birthday, either on my birthday bash live, that I'll have a more concrete TBR for the VAMpril month. So remember, VAMpril and MayPIRE. Join us. See you next time, BookTube.